Hey folks, I was in a really foul mood last night and I thought to myself, why? I got to the roots of it and I thought, well, it doesn't excuse my behaviour, I'm just in a foul mood. I thought I'm behaving like a really dried up, shriveled old prune. And I suddenly remembered what someone said to me decades ago about how when a sun sign is in a bad way, it always represents the more negative sides of its opposite sign. In that light, I thought I'd give a somewhat flippant, light-hearted and not to be taken seriously approach to how each sun sign manifests its bad moods. So, let's start with Aries. Aries' opposite sign is Libra, so when Aries, forceful, dynamic, assertive, projective, when it's in a bad way, it will come across as like, up to you, innit? I'm not making decisions for you, I'm going to sit here on my own, I'm just going to sulk, I'm going to be alone, I'm not making decisions for you, you do what you want. I don't care, up to you, you decide. Whereas Libra, when it's in a bad mood, Libra who's really sort of superficially indecisive, Libra when it's in a bad mood, once it's tipped over the edge, and it takes a lot to tip a Libra over the edge, but once they're tipped, it's like, right, yes, no, end. And it's hard because then they go through weeks of going, oh my God, have I done the right thing? But when they're in a bad way, they will make decisions and then the world quakes. Speaking as a shy, gentle, sensitive, insecure Cancerian, when I'm in a bad way, I'll come across as all detached, impersonal. No, nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I'm all right. Very Capricornian in a bad way. You know, I've got my own discipline, my own boundaries. Don't come in. I'm all right. And you're not, but no one else is getting in. Whereas a Capricorn in a bad way, which is not a pretty sight, comes across as like, oh, I'm going to pieces and I can't handle it and all my emotions are all over the place and I've got these feelings. Not pretty. That's the cardinal signs, all right? So let's look at the let's look at the fixed signs. So fixed signs, Taurus. Okay, Taurus, reliable, solid, down to earth, grounded. Opposite sign of Taurus, Scorpio. So when a Taurus is in a bad way, like someone takes their food or borrows their possessions and doesn't return them or something like that, then they're going to put on their Scorpio face and they're going to stare and they're going to make that other person, they're not going to say a thing. They're just going to sit there solidly, stubbornly and just stare at that person until out of sheer guilty conscience, the other person makes amends. Taurus can come across as very threatening without saying a word when they're in a bad way. Whereas Scorpio, when it's in a bad way, doesn't do what it does normally. Scorpio, when it's in a bad way, will shut up shop. And it'll go, right, that's mine, that's yours, end. And it doesn't get involved in arguments or disagreements, just goes cold. That's mine, that's yours. Aquarius, known and proud of its ability to be detached and impersonal, when it's in a bad way, will get very flustered and haughty and how dare you speak to me like that, and walk out. Even if its pants or knickers are falling off. You know, it'll still be far too sophisticated to lower itself to communicate with any of those lesser mortals. Whereas Leo when it's in a bad way becomes just distant. You cannot get through a Leo's reserve when they don't want you to. A Leo will just sit there and go, no, I'm fine. No, I don't want to talk about it, I'm all right. And it's like stone, ice cold concrete, like Aquarians could do when they're in a good way. And that brings us to the mutable signs. So, Pisces. When Pisces are in a bad way, they do their Virgo trip. When Pisces are in a bad way, when they don't know what's going on, when everything's a mess and they're confused, that's when they get the brush and dustpan out, or go and do the washing up, or do a jigsaw, or go and do the decorating, or make the beds, or do the ironing. Whereas Virgo's in a bad way, they sit there and they realise all their nice little safe constructs and patterns are dissolving, and that's when they just sit there and they go, oh. And often Virgos, when they're in a bad way, are tempted sometimes to have a slight little tipple. Not too bad in rare occasions. Geminis, when they're in a bad way, Oh, they take the hot moral high ground, especially when they realise that they said one thing 10 minutes ago and now exactly the opposite the next, and they can't get out of it. So they take the moral high ground, and they take the higher overview, and they become sophisticated, and they realise that there's no problem big enough that it can't be run away from. Whereas Sagittarius, once they're in a bad way, especially when they're cornered, they will try their very best to talk their way out of everything. And their philosophy is, if you talk at someone long enough and loud enough, you eventually get away. It's a bit cruel, but this is how sun signs do tend to react when they're not in a very good way. So if you're one of these and you care to offer criticisms or compliments, feel free. Catch you later. Bye.